Hey, I'm some chick on the internet, here to talk about anime, and today we'll be discussing One Season Wonders. While I do my makeup, have you ever come across an anime series that looked so good and you're like, I wonder what this is about? So you sit down to watch it, you get invested. Like, feelings are in there. I'm a fan now. We in this peak. Ride or die. Bad boys for life. Then the season finale comes and goes. And goes. And goes. And you realize it's never coming back? Well, yeah, that's what this is. Where we'll be discussing a few anime series that have been one season wonders. Have all the potential in the world, could have been gold, and then they ended out of nowhere. And we'll be talking a little bit about why. Rather than having a disappointing ending or the production team deciding to get out of the anime while the getting was good, we're going to get into it and just dive right in, starting with one of my all-time favorite one season wonders, GANGSTA. I absolutely love this anime by a writer under the pen name of Kosuke. GANGSTA pretty much starts off with two gentlemen, Warwick and Nicholas, who are running around the city as handymen. By handymen, they carry out any kind of tasking, legal or illegal, that people don't want to get their hands dirty with doing, if you know what I mean. They can be anything from complicated errand boys to bounty hunters to even hitmen and vigilantes, depending on who's asking. These two are the badasses who are running things, kicking ass, taking names, giving no apologies. And I love it. I'm here for it. It starts off with Warwick and Nicholas. Warwick being this mysterious gunslinging one-eyed bandit type who is really, really genius, super smart, and super charismatic. He has his bestie and partner in crime, Nicholas, aka Nico, who is a sword-wielding, kick-butt, superhuman gangster type. And Nico is a superhuman because he is a Twilight. I'm telling you, watch the show. It'll go into the backstory of Twilight and their superhuman ability. It has to do with the Super Soldier Project and all kind of good stuff gets intermixed in. So check it out. You'll love it. With Nico and Warwick running around the city, like I said, performing these tasks, they end up getting mixed up in a whole world of all kinds of underground foolery and fuckery going on. Like, seriously, everything gets deep. But one thing I really love about the show is not only is Warwick this genius kick butt kind of guy, he has one eye, so he's technically handicapped. And Nico, this superhuman badass who kicks butt, takes names, leaves no apologies, is all the while completely and utterly deaf. That's right, he's 100% deaf. I think from birth. They kind of explain from birth. And he and Warwick make this really awesome partnership throughout the series. I love that Nico actually uses sign language in it too. And the writer, Kosuke, did the damn thing. Like, seriously. These two guys with disabilities are definitely not disabled. And the writer did a great job of using them for representation because I rarely ever, I think it's maybe been 2 other anime series where I've seen deaf or hearing impaired people and actually using legitimate sign language. So it was really, really refreshing to not only see this, but see him as a protagonist. Not a side character, not somebody weak and defenseless, not somebody who just has to depend on their inner strength. But no, he had it. He was everything in a bag of chips. You go, guys. So in the meantime, all this other stuff unfolds, all these different characters get introduced into the mix, and like the whole show is such a ride. The storyline is dope. The animation is amazing. The characters are kick butt and got so much mystery behind them, and you start to have different things come out and unfold as it goes on, and it really gets you like in there. You're like, okay, it's a ride. I'm getting in. I'm buckling up for the long haul. I brought snacks. We're good to go. And then there was no second season. Imagine how disappointed I was when the second season never came. I was upset. It turns out, when doing a little bit of research, that the production studio Main Globe went bankrupt. Not only did they go bankrupt, the creator also had allegedly fallen ill because Kosuke is known to have an ongoing illness. Actually, Kosuke is known to have two different types of autoimmune disorders. So it very much could be true that Kosuke fell ill. I just say allegedly because, again, it's alleged. We don't know. This is just what I've found on like different blog sites and fan sites when doing research. I even found it in like an interview. It was still very vague. The show ended on a cliffhanger, which is actually like really, really tragic on top of that, because there was like no closure. It was straight up cliffhanger. You don't know what happens next. And as far as anybody knows, there has been no talks of another production studio picking it up. So that one will always be in my heart and on my mind, haunting me as a wonderful anime that could have really been something special. It was something special. It could have really been anime gold if it would have continued. But you win some, you lose some. Moving on. Number 2. Oh, and beyond the autoimmune disorders, another thing that we do know about Kosuke is a lady. That's right, girl power. Anyway, next series up, Devil's Slime. This series is a dark fantasy action and a love story about a mysterious half-vampire detective named Anzai. You heard that right. He's a half-vampire detective or a police officer, somewhere in that realm. And he gets mixed up with this college student named Tyra. The show really pops off where Anzai is hunting down a killer, and through a series of events, he ends up getting mixed up with Tyra, and likewise, she ends up getting mixed up with him and his special crime squad of the Public Safety Division. Their purpose is to solely handle like vampire crime involving and committed by vampires in secret, because, surprise, in this day, which is modern day Japan is the setting, vampires exist, except for they're just trying to coexist amongst regular humans in secret. And of course, who better to handle vampires than other vampires? Oh, devils. Sorry. For the sake of the show, we're calling them devils. All throughout the show, they call them devils, but we know what they are. They're vampires. Now, to Tyra's credit, she was minding her business, okay? She didn't happen to stumble upon some kind of rickety old house and go inside. She didn't find a magic spell and read off some things. She didn't see a chase happening and decide to go running after it. Now, she was minding her business, so I will give the girl that. She still got caught up in it anyway, but I'll give her that. Going on, this show was absolutely amazing. It had a great storyline. The romance wasn't overly dramatic. It wasn't cringe-worthy and weird. It was all the way around really well written, really well done. And even though it wasn't incredibly popular, it did get kind of a little cult following. It's like the people who did like the show and did love the show, like loved it. I gotta do the exaggerated head movements because just being on the different chat boards and stuff, it's very few people who I've seen go, it's alright. No, people loved it. And so did I. So, what happened? Well, although the animation was a little bit flawed, it was. I'm not going to be the one to point out how, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And the story, for what it's worth and everything about it, is amazing. But unfortunately, it just did not get the traction that Platinum Production Studios was hoping it would. And they just didn't want to pick it up for a second season. It could have continued. It could have. Unfortunately, they didn't. There had been whispers of in 2021 them trying to pick up with a second season by popular demand, but I'm not gonna hold my breath for it, and I'm not gonna break my own heart. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then all right, because I'm not expecting it to. Oh well. If you do feel an inkling to check that one out, it is currently on Netflix, and I actually think GANGSTA is too. GANGSTA also might be on Netflix or Hulu, but I'm pretty sure it might be on Netflix. So yeah, check those out. Our third one up is... Where did it go? Next series up, number 3, is Dead Man's Wonderland. Where do I even start? This show starts off in a classroom, right? Like a classroom setting. But it is not for kids. Not for kids. Because they all get murdered. Entire class equals bloodbath. All of them murdered. And our very unfortunate protagonist, Igarashi, happens to be the one who finds them. Now, why is he so unfortunate, you may ask? Well, they didn't just figure that Igarashi just happened to be a survivor of the class whatever number massacre. No, he gets blame framed for the whole incident, and now they're thinking this kid is a mass murderer. Not even just a mass murderer. Yeah, I don't know what you call somebody who at one time takes out the whole classroom. Because I feel like mass murderer just does not capture the magnitude of what they're blaming him for. But either way, moving on. So, boom. They're like, homeboy's a mass murderer. You know what we're gonna do with him? We're gonna send him to Dead Man's Wonderland. Now, Dead Man's Wonderland, for those of you who don't know, is this weird hybrid baby between a prison and a theme park. Apparently, there had been some catastrophic event where pretty much they're using the proceedings from the prison theme park hybrid and the tickets they sell to rebuild the area that was destroyed from the catastrophic event. In this Dead Man's Wonderland, this whole area is, how do you say? A death match? Yeah. It's pretty much like a crazy ass death match going on. Between prisoners, of course. Now this series does go into the gory sci-fi realm because there is a bunch of parts actually that really keep you on your toes. Not to forget to mention that there is a little twist for the unsuspecting viewer right along in the show that if you watch it, you'll find out. Again, I'm not going to be a spoiler. And unfortunately, even though this one also cultivated a little following, you want to know what happened to it? Let me put it this way. This was a series also produced by Main Globe. And it also ended on a cliffhanger. How fucking rude. And now that brings us to number 4, High School of the Dead. So the whole plot of the show was a zombie infestation gorge fest that took place in a high school. And the outbreak was caused by a pandemic. But moving on, it happened to create an infectious disease that made people into zombies, and it was spreading throughout the world rapidly. And when it reached the high school, it hit a point where people were now throwing their morals out the window. So the students who were running around trying to survive not only had to worry about dealing with zombies, but also dealing with other people as well. Think a little mix between Walking Dead and World War Z if you want to, except for high school themes. Yeah, this is a little bit of a cool classic that you can toss into a group of blood. Lots of blood and action. Now, unfortunately, the series will not be continuing because even though it was actually pretty successful for its one season, the creator Daisuke Sato sadly passed away in 2007. To be honest, when thinking about my one series wonders, this one was kind of a slight blip in my mind. I mean, not because of anything that they did wrong. Like, the animation was still great, the writing was good. It was pretty gruesome. It was pretty jarring, but it serves its purpose. However, this anime series dropped in 2010, which was around the time of Walking Dead dropping. Actually, Walking Dead dropped that very same year, and over the next 10 years, a million other zombie movies, TV shows, miniseries, whatever, all dropped as well. So it's just because it happened to gain traction in a time where the whole zombie theme was heavily saturated. Simple as that. If that wasn't your thing back then and you're into zombie stuff now, then go ahead and check it out. Promise you won't be disappointed. Just be sure to eat first. Last but not least, we are tackling The Devil is a Part-Timer. Oddly, this one is the only comedy on my list, which, now that I think about it, makes me go, should I do a part 2 in the future? Because I feel like there are many more to go, especially in the comedy tropes. But let's get back on subject. This anime series is particularly interesting because it takes a really ironically funny look at being knocked off your pedestal. Which, not too many shows or animes tackle that trope, or tackle that whole idea. But this one definitely does it, and it does it beautifully. In a land far, far away. No, just kidding. It's an alternate dimension. But with that being said, you have Satan. That's right. King of the underworld, all that kind of good stuff, or King of Hell, King of the Underrealm, whatever your rendition of him is, the devil, okay, the devil. Satan is trying to take over another land in this alternate dimension in which a hero, Amelia Justina, actually beats him. Yeah, she beats him and depletes his power solo. He's like, fuck it, I'm out, and flees the scene. So him and one of his top generals, Shiro, escape through a portal that takes them smack dab into modern day Japan. Shiro and Satan, who decides to go by the name Sato, because you can't necessarily just tell everybody, call me Satan, you know, quickly learn that you cannot survive in modern day Japan just by being alive and being there alone. So what do you know? He's subjected to getting a job just like the rest of us. And not only just any job, he gets a part-time job at McDonald's. That's right, you heard me, McDonald's. Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately for him, Amelia Justina happens to end up following him through that portal and ending up in modern day Japan too, where she learns that very same lesson. Can't just get by just by being there. Can't survive without doing anything. So things happen, more characters appear, and the story surely unfolds. As of yet, there is no season 2. Duh. It's on the one season's wonder list. But there are talks of something happening in the future. As a matter of fact, as of this year, there have been talks of a possible revamp to the series, or even getting picked up by another production company. I don't know, that's only the rumor of what I've been hearing and seeing on different forums saying things are in the works, but again, all we can do is keep our eyes open and our ears listening. I'm definitely gonna keep my ears open, and I hope you do too. Especially because this comedy series was a good little view on perspective and learning each other, and at the same time almost like a little real life reflection of doing what you gotta do. Scratching and surviving. Good times. And for those of you who may or may not have guessed by now, this look was inspired by Riel Mayer from early 2000s One Season Wonder Ergo Proxy. So I'm not gonna go too much into that show right now. Just know it's an early 2000s cyberpunk series that actually got a lot more traction after it concluded and for the feel of the show altogether. But that's one I'm not going to include on the list, but you should definitely check it out if you get a chance. And that's it for now. If you've made it this far, thank you for tuning in, and comment below, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you have any of your own personal one season wonders that you either loved or hated, drove you crazy because it didn't continue, or you always wanted to know what happened to it, leave it down in the comments. We can talk about it, we could discuss it, and maybe in the future I can even do a part 2, because this was actually pretty fun, and especially reading up about some of the anime series that I went, what the hell happened to it? So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I still don't have an intro, so bye. Extra scene. Since the whole look was based off of kind of a cyberpunk feel in a dystopian kind of bleak future, it may not have looked that much wearable. To make it look a little bit more wearable, I just simply brushed down the bangs of my wig, and realistically, if I were going anywhere, I would probably throw a little bit of blush on my cheeks. I did my skin makeup pretty muted because the character herself is very pale, and we're not doing race face over here. We don't do that here. So yeah, if I were going out anywhere, this could somewhat work. All right, that's it. Bye.